we are going to need to probably do another twofer next week
Okay.
because the week after that is Jennifer's birthday weekend.
Ah.
And I am going to be driving during that time.
Did
Oh,
you
who am
want?
I kidding? Jennifer's going to be driving. I'm going to
You will
be
be in the
along for it.
car at the.
And I can't tell you where or what. I'll tell you afterwards, but we're
Okay.
going to a vacation destination
A vacation spot.
for her birthday. Yep.
Excellent. I hope the
Doing
weather cooperates.
birthday. Oh yeah. Hey, guess what? We
What?
finally got the smoke.
Yay! Is this your
Uh-oh.
first? Is this
Wow, Ben. There's a ton of lag that just started happening.
Yeah, my internet hiccuped, and when my internet hiccups, it lags. Do you want to actually like? Why don't we try this? Why don't you just log off the Zoom call and then log back in?
And then log back in.
Yeah.
Let's try
So
it.
end the call and then rejoin me.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Here we go.
All right. So Paul is logging off, and then he's gonna come back in, and hopefully that will cure what ails our lag, because it was the Zoom was the Zoom. The lag was pretty terrible. The connection here at the theater hiccuped a bit. And look, there he is, Paul Goody. He's got
How
to
about
join with
now?
audio. How about now?
Hey, that sounds better.
All right. Yeah, you finally got your smoke. So was this is this the first
Yeah.
time smoke has ever hit Edwardsville?
No, I remember it hit one time back when I want to say it couldn't have been Mount Rainier. There was some sort of volcanic thing that happened, and we got some maybe in Yellowstone. Maybe there was a volcano thing in Yellowstone years back.
Well, back in 1980, Mount St. Helens erupted, and that ash went across the
You know,
US.
I think, yeah, I said Mount Rainier, but yeah, I think it was Mount St. Helens. I think we got ash from Mount St. Helens.
Hey, Steven is with us, and
Hey,
he's
Steven.
yeah, we did have an internet hiccup. See, we do pay for that service. For whatever reason, I started receiving the bills for the I don't pay the bills, but I get emailed like, hey,
Yeah.
you've paid your bill. So yeah,
So, yeah, that's the we expect there to be good internet
we do expect
people,
it. Sometimes
the
I don't know.
internet people.
I don't know what happens. It's just every once in a while it'll go away for like 2 seconds and then come back, and then Paul and I have terrible lag.
Well,
Ooh, it gives
I
me such
really like
terrible
Steven.
lag.
I'm very happy that he's here. Hello, Steven. I'm growing my beard back.
I can tell.
Well, I will mention. So yeah, I'm liking it. I may actually grow my hair out again too. As you can see, I still have the little poof, which I
Right.
like.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. It gives me something to mess with while I'm sitting around. But soon the beard will fulfill that, and then I wanna get back into my wizard form. I think I enjoyed that as a look.
Yes.
So we'll see.
Got to practice.
But yeah, so new thing. I've been watching The Bear.
Oh yeah,
on Hulu.
I'm 4 episodes into the new season.
Yeah, I just started the new season. So it's nice. It's weird because normally a show like The Bear would stress me out. It would make me go, ah. But for whatever reason, I don't know what they're doing, but it just makes me go, whoa, glad I'm not working there.
Well, the first season was definitely more stressful than this. I mean, they're amping up the conflict in this season with the opening day looming closer, but
Yes.
the first season, when like working in the restaurant, was like hectic. I've never worked in a kitchen. I've never worked in a restaurant, so I don't know what that's actually like. But I was getting anxious watching some of those scenes.
I worked in a restaurant for a little while as a busboy. and I worked as a cashier. I don't think I ever worked as a cook, and I honestly do think that if you're making the thing that the people are going to eat, that stress is probably a little bit higher. I saw a wonderful video where Anthony Bourdain went to Waffle House and got a pecan waffle,
Yeah.
and it was apparently a good experience for him.
I like me
So,
some Anthony. I've been watching Parts Unknown. They've finally put it back on HBO, or sorry, Max.
yeah.
Um, they took it off because CNN tried to have their own streaming service for a
Oh,
while, so they took off
yeah,
all the
no thanks.
CNN content from HBO. But Steven says he never stopped growing his beard, and his natural look is bordering on startling.
Oh, nice. Very good.
And yeah,
Uh,
slight spoilers for The Bear season 2, I suppose.
Emmett Montgomery uh, once talked about how his aesthetic, when he caught a glimpse of himself in the mirror and thought that he was someone else, was murder hobo. He thought that there was what he could only describe as a murder hobo coming towards him.
That
And then
sounds
it
like
turned out that it
something
was
Emmett
him.
would say. Yeah.
I was talking to Jennifer about Emmett, uh, and I couldn't uh, I couldn't remember his name. It was one of those situations where I was like, comedian, the guy who's we Ben and I did some things with him, and he's got a beard, and um so but yeah, Emmett. The reason we had I was talking to her about actually a bit on one of our last podcasts where I was trying to make you guess the um, the name Cracker Barrel,
Right.
and you thought maybe I was talking about Denny's, and the question was, uh, is there one in Seattle? And I was like, if it were Denny's, the answer would for sure be yes. I don't know about
Ah.
Cracker Barrel, and I just remember that I ran into Emmett one time at that Denny's, and we had not planned to meet up, but it was a very nice surprise to see him.
Where is the Denny's in Seattle? Because
Where's the Denny's in Seattle?
the one we were gonna go to was in Fife.
I thought we were going to. Yeah, the Denny's in Seattle is, um, it's like in the Soto, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, at least there was one. Yeah,
Uh,
Denny's
it's
in Seattle,
possible. I've just never
Soto
been there.
district. Really?
I've
I
never
thought
been to
you
the
and I had
Denny's in
been
Soto.
there together.
No.
It's you know what it's near? It's near the train diner. Used to be the Orient, or became the Orient Express.
Steven says
Andy's
it's
Diner.
on 4th Avenue South. I've never noticed it.
Wow,
Andy's
that's
Diner.
crazy.
I remember we've been there. We've been there a
Yeah,
few
Andy's
times.
Diner became the Orient Express at one point in time. Andy's Diner was my favorite. My
Andy's Diner's a
favorite. Like
better name.
this is just a place for me and Ben to go that nobody else really went to. But it was a train car. You could eat in
Couple
a
train
train car.
cars. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually where I got the idea for this thing in Mara and the Magicians, where the train juxtaposes itself with another train, and so you're in a train and they're both traveling, but somehow there's an X and there's a crossroad between the two trains, and how it doesn't work with physics, but it would work relatively. Speaking of woodwork relatively, John DeShazo uh, lives somewhere now that isn't Seattle.
Connecticut, I believe.
Connecticut. Okay. Yeah,
Connecticut.
yeah. Connecticut. Um, so let's see. I have no really new news as far as here we go, Edward. As far as like fun things that are happening here, I do feel like um when you and I were performing regularly at Spin the Bottle, right? It was a lot easier to convince myself that I was doing uh, important things.
Right.
Like I was like, this is something, you know. Yeah, I am a working artist. I am doing art at a regular basis. I have a project that I'm working on, and when I stop doing that, it's a little bit tougher for me. The one thing that I do think I've kind of gotten a little bit back, like D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, is fun, right? And it's really it scratches some of the theater itch for me. Some of
Yeah.
the improv, like I don't. Once I got a regular D&D group, I didn't care about doing improv anymore because I don't like crowds necessarily. I don't necessarily even like audiences. I like playing. There's a difference.
That's why
Um,
our NX Improv without an audience was so fun.
yeah, it was great. You didn't have to be funny. You're just messing around and all that. Um, I have found, and I think I might have mentioned this last time, cartooning, getting back into like what I was doing with Giraffe and Elephant, but not having a deadline, not having to post something, just drawing a thing.
Right.
I'm just drawing a thing, and there's no end goal. I'm not mailing it off to someone. I'm not putting it on the internet. I'm just drawing. Is also kind of fulfilling. It's sort of cool, and I'm using my iPad for it, but I'm doing something different that I'd never done before, which is I'm following this. And I don't know if we had this discussion, but did I tell you how I'm interested in? Yes, I must have. I must have interested in art from like the turn of the century, like the 1900 early 1900s, like Winsor McCay and Little Nemo and Slumberland and like the Oz books and stuff like that.
I don't recall you mentioning an
Oh, okay.
enthusiasm for
Well,
that yet.
here it is. I really like that style of drawing. There's a certain, I don't know, style to it. Um, and back when I was doing AI art thing, that was one of the things that I was kind of trying to pull um like examples of and to do things like. And eventually, once the provenance of that data became questionable morality wise,
Right. Yeah.
um, I was like, well, maybe, just maybe, if I get some books about cartooning from that time period, because people were trying to learn how to draw back at those times and all that. Maybe if I get a book on cartooning like that and follow those steps, I will learn how to draw like that just because that's how people were learning to draw back then. And so far, the stuff that I've been doing is pretty good.
I'm glad you like
It's
it.
all pencil and ink, right? You do it in pencil first, and then you do it in ink with layers
Just like the
and
classic
the
masters.
yep, layers and an iPad. I don't need to erase. I can just do my pencil layer and then do the ink layer on top of it and then delete the pencil layer, or even simply hide the pencil layer so I can go, look, this is what it looked like, and now this is what it looked
Uh,
like. It's really
iPads.
great.
I was
iPads are
recently
good.
at a Marvel exhibit, and they had original artwork that was drawn by Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko
Ooh.
and a number of other
Ooh.
classic Marvel artists whose names I don't recall. But it was really interesting seeing like some of the like the cover art pages or even the one sheets of the pages where you can see where the pencil marks are still under the ink where the inker
Yeah,
has gone in, and yeah, you're like, oh my, Jack Kirby wrote that. He drew that.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, three different layers of art. You have the penciler, the inker, and the colorist,
Yeah, and then the
all of
letterer
whom
goes in and
contribute.
does their thing.
Yep, exactly. And now I write when I print. I write kind of in a in an almost comic book
Comic
letterer format.
Sans.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I hope this is still going. My window froze. Let's see. I'm sure it's gonna be
Must be
fine, Ben.
cold over there.
Oh, speaking of
Steven,
cold.
Steven wants to know if
Oh,
you've tried any of the story games that he sent you that Ben Robbins has put together.
oh yeah. Well, okay, so here's the thing about those. My online friends, my online game people love those, and we talk about them and how cool they are. But one of the things about an indie role play game enthusiast, when you're living in the Midwest with your friends that you've been playing Dungeons and Dragons with for a long time, getting them to play new games is very difficult. So I have read all those books and I love them. And I have played. You and I actually played Microscope. Did a thing in Microscope, and I've
Yeah.
done things with people online with Microscope, but I haven't done it in person, and that's really what I enjoy. And we've talked about this with relation to Annex games as well. I loved all the people, and it was fun to do. There is something about me and running a game, even playing a game online. I just do not enjoy it. I there's one time after that I played a like there's this indie sort of superhero-esque kind of game that I played with some people, and I was just a player. And even then, I'll say this. Some friends of mine from college and I got together and played Mothership, which again, fun game. But and I like all of them and everything. I could not do it. Did not did not like it. And the City of Mist, which was the game that I played with the other folks that I was friends with on the indie RPG server, I had fun. I had fun. I liked it. Still, if it had been in person, it would have been 10 times better. And so I'm
Just like
hoping,
theater.
yeah, exactly, Ben, exactly. I'm hoping that when we actually move, we will go somewhere where, and I think I could
When?
maybe convince my friends to do more indie gaming stuff. But right now, with the time that we have and all that, we play once every month, and
Yeah.
that's it. So they want to get their D&D in, um, and I am the game master at this point, and so that is what I am doing.
Get your D and
But
D
Ben Robbins,
on.
I need to say, Ben Robbins is when I am with my indie D&D uh eschewing eschewing they don't like D&D, those people. When I'm talking
Yeah.
to them, Ben Robbins is highly respected, and a lot of people like I'll do it. This is the other thing is I'll listen to actual plays. I enjoy listening to them. I don't like participating in, and it's a weird thing. I don't like participating in the online things. But anyway, Ben Robbins' name comes up a lot. People really like him and respect the things that he's put out,
We almost
which is
did.
cool because I know him.
We almost did one of his games for a live stream last month.
Which
Just
one?
get. I don't recall, but I
Was
don't
it
think it was.
Follow?
I don't think it was Microscope.
Was
I
it
can. I can look it
Kingdom?
up. But it was just that scheduling wise it didn't work. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, just we didn't get enough
Was it going to
players.
be him running it, or was it going to be somebody else?
He was going to run it, and he was going to run it
Ooh.
remotely. So it was going to be one of those technical challenges.
Yeah. Where does he
Um,
is he still in Seattle, or is he somewhere else now?
I have no idea. Steven, does Ben still live in Seattle? Let's see. Do. Uh, that's an old. That's an old thread.
That was a fun group to play with. I played a little
Is
bit. It was like him and Chris Haddad and Ping. Those guys were
oh
really
wow.
fun to play with. I played I think it was a superhero game again. I want to say it was maybe Mutants and Masterminds. Maybe I might have that wrong. I don't think it was Champions, but it might have been. But anyway,
Oh,
a
it's
long time
this
ago
one.
now.
Ben is. The game. Oh, Steven has all the info that I was gonna look up.
Okay, well here we
He
go.
says the game was called In a World. It hadn't been. I think he was going
Huh.
to. He was gonna Kickstarter it. That was the thing. He was gonna run
Wow.
it, and then he screams for some reason. I don't know why. Ben is more East Coastish right now. Has been for some time.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Pretty cool. Um, I don't know. I still might become East Coastish. Um, every once in a while, I think about going to Chicago, but all the people I know in Chicago are old, and so they are no longer living in Chicago.
We ain't no spring
Uh,
chickens.
it is a sort of a fast-paced kind of thing, and also it gets cold. That I mean, that is the craziest thing, right? People that I know that live in Chicago, if they get a chance to move somewhere where winters in Chicago no longer happen to them, they do that.
Chicago, I hear a lot of comparisons because there's a lot of comparisons to Seattle because there's a lot of Midwesterners who moved to the Northwest, and they're like, this place is so great. You have mountains and oceans, and it's mostly temperate. That's changing, but
Yeah,
you don't have those Chicago winters. And then people from Chicago pipe up and say, "Oh, you only drive about 2 hours out of the city, and you got hills or something, or
yeah,
something." There are a lot of people who I know who live in Chicago love it.
yeah. Chicago is and it's got some good things. Of course, like everything. The stuff that I liked about Chicago, lots of it is closed. I've aged out of some of it, but
Yeah.
Chicago always will have theater stuff. It's I don't think
Yeah.
that's ever going to go away. So
Steppenwolf's still around? Were they in Chicago,
I
right?
I I think they're Chicago. Yeah, I wanna say for sure.
And Second
And
City.
then obviously the Second City, and then oh, what is it? I'm blanking. The other improv thing, Improv Olympic.
IO? Yeah.
Yeah,
IO East, or is it just IO there?
it's IO. I think IO East. I think IO West is California. I think it's just IO.
Yeah.
Oh, they might call it IO East in California, but
Why? Oh, right. They would call it the
yeah,
Chicago one.
but yeah,
Um,
my friend Matt Young, who I went to college with, he is Usador and Hello from the Magic Tavern, which I have not listened to in a very long time. Sorry, Matt, if you're listening. But he's one of the people where I'll text him and I won't get a text back from him, but I figure it's because he's busy and he still likes me and isn't mad at me for some reason. Um,
why would
one
he
of
be
those things,
mad
but
at you?
I
What
don't
did you
know.
do?
I left my fog lights on all night. But the basic thing is that I went to see him in the Shakespeare improv thing that they do, the improvisational Shakespeare company. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, and it was
Rolls right off the
probably
tongue.
probably just a regular night for them, but one of the best things I'd seen,
Yeah.
in a long time for me. So
I
pretty
saw.
cool.
I hadn't seen a lot of improvised Shakespeare. Jet City used to do it all the time when they had their space in the U District. And I went to go see a show, and I was really super impressed by them. I mean, just improvising iambic pentameter is not easy.
It is easier than one might think, however. It's funny, but when you put a rule on something, and you get to it's not easy to do when you first do it, but when you've been doing it for a while, if this makes sense, improvising an iambic pentameter is sometimes easier than not having that structure there after
Well,
you get
it's a
used to
it's
it.
a it's a muscle that you have to build.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of Jet City Improv, though, wow, what a bunch of talented people there. What was the group that they ended up doing that was at Annex for a while? They would show up at Spin the Bottle. There the three guys. They were all in like
Oh
brown suits
yeah, the
and
temporary people. That was
temporary people.
Joel and
Yeah,
Andrew and Jana and Doug.
Jana was like um not in a brown suit though, I think.
No,
think
she
she
was in
wore
a dress of sorts.
like a
No,
office
she wasn't in
kind of
dress. She was
thing.
in like a pantsuit or something. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I guess they were all an office type of attire, but yeah, they were really good. And one of the last things that I almost did, and then decided not to, was audition for them to do something
Didn't realize
with
they were
that
holding
thing.
auditions.
They had a little bit of a
Mm.
request to do a thing. Maybe you and I even talked about it, about, hey, we should just both go and do this thing. Um, but yeah, I ended up not doing it.
Steven tried to get the
Um,
temporary people to do a show at a regular show at Annex for a while. Doug doesn't even
oh,
live
that
in.
would have been great.
Doug, I think, lives in Bellingham. Joel, I think, lives in Austin.
Well, that's going to be
So,
harder then.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, what a great time, Ben. We really did. You know, my my friend Ben is you. My friend Jeff has a dad. His dad is now no longer alive. And so there's no
Cool
one to
story, bro.
corroborate this because it was just me and him when he mentioned this. But he said if you're involved in any theater stuff, or music stuff or whatever, he said
Wait, the
basically any
dad said
arts
this or
things.
Jeff
The
said
dad
this?
said this.
Okay.
Yeah, the dad said this. That you're going to look back at that time that you were in, and you're not going to realize that you were in the middle of a time when something cool was happening.
He
He
is
talked about like
so right.
seeing Allen Ginsberg read poetry or whatever, and
Yeah.
when he was seeing Allen Ginsberg read poetry, it wasn't Allen Ginsberg reading poetry, it was Allen Ginsberg reading poetry.
Yeah.
The same sort of thing, like the stuff that we did at Spin the Bottle, when we were doing stuff at Spin the Bottle, is great. And when I think back on it, it was really, really good. But it was it I didn't realize when I was doing it how I would feel about having done it now when I look back on it,
It's
if that makes
interesting.
sense.
I think about that too because you look at those at the past through the haze of nostalgia, right? And then it's all pretty great, and you miss it, and then like it's a shame that's gone, and then not realizing that the same sort of thing is happening now, and you're not going to realize that it's happening now
Yep.
until 10, 20, 30 years later.
I will say something that has happened to me at the age of 50 is that I will remember things, and it's like I have more than one lifetime now. Is the way that I'll think about it, because there's the time that I was in the Air Force, and there's the time that I was in Seattle at Annex, and there's the time that I'm here as an adult, and there was a time I was here as a kid, and all that, and those experiences, if this makes sense, don't all line up for me anymore. Like I'm like, how when did I do this thing? And I realized, oh, that was around the same time that this was happening. But they don't mesh together as a thing anymore. So like the time that I was on LOL work, right,
Yeah.
was also like at the same time that I was working at Microsoft. And I actually quit Microsoft um to work on LOL work. But I didn't realize that that's what had happened. I didn't realize that they were contemporary until later.
Mm.
I also need to mention something that happened right before this. So Edward, this is the dog Edward.
Hey, Edward.
He has stinky breath sometimes. And what I have this dog shampoo, not shampoo, sorry, toothpaste. I have this dog shampoo that I
I
make.
think I figured out your problem.
Yeah. No, I have this dog toothpaste. And it used to be at one point in time that I'd take a brush and I'd brush his teeth and all that. What I do now, which seems to be a lot better, and this is one of the things that they mentioned. Yeah, you put it on your finger and you move it around and all that. And I was sitting down here, I was getting ready to do the podcast, and there was something on my fingernail, just this rough kind of thing on my fingernail. I'm like, oh, what is that? And brilliant idea for something that's on your fingernail that you don't know what it is. I scraped it off with my tooth, And then I was like, oh, that's minty, but ugh. And I realized, oh, baking soda dog shampoo.
It's it
Toothpaste.
probably tastes terrible, but
Again.
it's not bad for you. You got
So never
shampoo on
feed
the
your
brain?
dog shampoo. Yeah, I don't know.
You're shampoo.
Ooh,
Do you have anything to declare, sir?
yeah. Shampoo for my fake friends, real poo for my wait, no. Shampoo for my real friends, fake poo. No, hold on. Shampoo for my real no. Shampoo for my real friends. No. Shampoo for my real friends, real poo for my sham friends. That's what it would be. Uh of course, the famous Tom Waits. Champagne for my real friends, real pain for
Yeah.
my sham friends.
Nice.
Um yeah, that's the thing that he did. At least he claims it. I don't know. Probably someone retweeted it before it, and then he just took it from the.
That Tom Waits, a famous stealer of tweets for his music.
Steeler tweets Tom Waits. It is interesting. I think we've talked about this before. Before the internet, how
Before the
jokes
internet.
would how jokes would pass from person to person and things like that, and you wouldn't and who told you that? Where did you hear that was a thing?
I
Like
heard them
now
from like
it's
George Carlin albums.
exactly. I heard it on an album. Or my dad's uncle would tell these jokes all the time. My great uncle
Your dad's
would
uncle.
tell jokes
Wow.
all the time.
Yeah.
My dad's uncle. She's my mother's sister's girl, as was famously said by David Lynch. David Lynch, of course, um, made Eraserhead the same year, I believe, that Star Wars came out. So there's a
Contemporaries. Yeah.
interesting thing. There was a talk of him maybe directing Return of the Jedi, and he
David
had a
Lynch?
panic attack based on it. Yeah,
I'd watch that movie.
and he was like, "This is bad. I don't want to do this." He said, and so he didn't. It's what he said to George Lucas, that he was feeling like he didn't want to. Oh, speaking about which, Andor, um, the science fiction show that makes you make a choice. Andor. The guy
Yes,
who plays
or
Richie on The Bear is one
Eben
of the
Moss
guys.
Bacharach.
Yeah, who I like a lot as an actor. Is cool. Uh,
Yeah.
I always like people that play someone that is, intentionally unlikable, but also likable. Like at the same, like being able to thread that needle.
It's a tough one because otherwise, if you play somebody who's just unlikable, people start to hate you, especially if you're a woman.
Yeah. Yes. And a gun.
Yeah.
Why won't she? Why won't she let her husband sell meth? What's her deal? Why is she so
what's
mean all
wrong
the
with
time?
her? Yeah, exactly.
Can't stand it.
She wasn't the only one. There's another example. She's, I think, the most famous one, but there's another example of like a fan base just going crazy over hatred over an actor. I think it's the guy. It's not even a woman. It's the guy who played Joffrey in Game of Thrones. I think. Or
People
I mean,
didn't like him, or well,
yeah, because he played that part so well. People just, I guess, I don't know, hated him
soap
in
opera
real
actors
life.
have that happen to them all the time.
But also,
From what I understand.
yeah, I mean, you point to any female character in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. Hey, speaking about which, Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, no problems whatsoever. Everybody liked her. Christopher Reeve, Superman, no problems whatsoever. Everybody liked. It's almost as though there's a difference in the culture that makes people upset. Oh, speaking about which, Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones
And
happening.
the Dial of Destiny, which sounds like a
Yes.
pulp from the 30s, which I think is kind of probably intentional.
A conversation that friend of the show Andy and I had was that the guy who's directing it is the guy who directed Logan, which is a film that I liked.
I haven't seen
thought
it.
Logan was good. It's about Wolverine.
He's an old Wolverine, right?
Yeah, he's an old guy now.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the new Indiana Jones is better than people think it's going to be. Now, we all know that Gollum was not a good video game. The internet said it was going to be bad, and Jennifer and I were like, "Let's give it a chance." And we bought it, and it was bad, and now we feel bad, but we
Because you
had
didn't
to because it
listen
was
to the
Gollum.
internet?
Well, you never want to listen to the internet, Ben, but we felt bad because the internet was right, and that's a
Yeah.
there's a difference. It's
That's
very subtle, but
that's disheartening. I don't know. I can't even remember what the previous Indiana Jones movie was called. Kingdom of the Crystal
the Crystal
Skull or something like
Skull.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the first Indiana Jones movies many, many times. The second
It's
one,
just
a
him and
few.
Dan Aykroyd drinking vodka.
The
It's the weirdest film I've ever
third
seen.
one, many, many times. I saw the fourth one once. I saw the Harrison Ford and Dan Aykroyd drinking vodka movie only once. So
It was
maybe
basically just Sideways, but recast with that would be again the AI will do it. Um, I had this conversation previously, but I'll say it again. Um, people are people are falling into a trap, Ben. There's nothing we can do about it. Absolutely nothing we can do about it. And that's that we are afraid, and our fear is being used against us, that AI is going to kill uh, artists, and the studios are using it to kill AI because the AI is really going to kill the studios. It's a thing that we can't help. I used to worry about this stuff. I'm like, how can I make people see? And I realized that I can't. And now that I know that I can't, everything's fine.
right.
But in a perfect world, what would have happened is the AI tools that will allow you to make any movie you want to, would have been open to everyone. No one would go see movies anymore. Everyone would just sit at home and make their own little movies. No
Yeah.
one would like to watch them, and we would have all like cocooned in our homes, watching things that made us happy, but also being depressed and isolated from everyone. Instead,
And that's how the movie
now
Wall-E was made.
the people who are making the tools are going to end up making them for the people that own the copyright to all the images and all the films. So studios are going to have the AI things. You're going to pay money to use the studio's AI stuff, and everyone is just going to be
There's gonna
the
be
way they always are.
a certification that I think the MPAA will bestow upon movies that are quote made by humans.
Yeah. And the thing is that you need those, right? You need those because if you don't have that, you get the whole cannibalism thing happening. You get the whole, uh, you know, uh, like hemophiliac recessive trait thing happening. All the movies will just be rehashes of other movies, even more so than they are
Well, yeah,
now.
I mean, I was gonna say that's kind of how things are going.
Yeah. So I do have flashes of remembrance that the AI does make it easy to do stuff that you've never seen before. Weird stuff. You just have to do a whole bunch of edge cases, and then that will happen. Try to marry up two pictures, for instance. That one is a weird pencil drawing, and another one is a photorealistic picture of a you know weird bug, and then it makes this really interesting picture that no one's seen before because you're getting two edge cases to play together. Um, but you tell that to people, and they're like, "Well, all those images had to come from somewhere, and there's some dude who probably drew that and then it copy and pasted it."
Yeah.
Untrue, but the fact that again, all the building blocks were taken from people who didn't get compensated for it. The companies are making money off of the models that they trained on, the stuff that the people made, that the people to get paid for it. I've been convinced that okay, sure, I suppose that's morally wrong. Even though I want to play with the tools, I do not play with the tools, and that's
Right.
fine. Everybody is okay, nothing to worry about. But still, but
I
still,
just saw I just saw a tweet today. It's like somebody tried to clarify. It's like you're not going to be replaced by AI. You're going to be replaced by a person who uses AI. So I think
right,
I don't think the point was to. So if you want to keep your job, learn how to use AI. But
exactly.
there's
Well,
this
you know,
specter of like Skynet taking over the creative world, and it's not that's not going to happen for a while. It's going to be some guy who knows how to use the tool, some guy, some
well,
person who knows how to use those tools.
the thing that I told people in the forums at the time when I was in them, and I still believe this, is that people don't understand rich people and how they work. They're like, the guy at the head at Disney isn't going to pay an artist anymore. He's going to pay 300 people to like run prompts for him and all that. And the answer is no. The people at and I'm just talking about and I had to make this clarification as well because people jumped all over me. I'm just talking about one specific creative field that I know about, which are children's books and how they get made, at least when you're at the level that I was at. Um, and this is basically, they don't pay you at all to make books. You make books and then you say, hey, I made a book. Will you buy it? And that's the thing that people don't get. The idea that there's a creative who's sitting in a basement somewhere churning out work for these people and they're paying them an hourly wage to do it is not correct. Now, the person who edits the book might be on staff and get an hourly wage and all that, but the creatives, the
Probably
people
salaried.
whose money you're taking out, whatever, they at least, again, if we're talking about me in that situation, get paid by the project. They accept a book for you, and you make the book uh, for them, and then you make the entire book for them, right? You make a dummy, and you say, "Will you do this book?" Then you make the entire book for them, and then after you turn the book in, and after the book is done, then you get paid. Not before. Maybe if you're a really good writer, you get paid before. They give you an advance in advance of you turning the thing in, but that is not what happened with me.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those situations where people mistakenly think that people get paid in a way that they don't, basically. And again, always have to get on my soapbox. People shouldn't get paid for art. People should just be uh, given everything they ever want, and then also do art if they want to. That's that's my take on it. I think
This
we need a
podcast
post
brought to you by
scarcity world.
Universal Income.
Yep, post scarcity world where people also can do art. Don't make it so that somebody has to sell art to a corporation in order to live. That's dumb. That's the wrong way to do it. And people are arguing for it. People are like, this has to happen. No, it doesn't. Just change your minds. Oh, this is another thing that somebody mentioned. They were talking about gender neutral versions of sir and ma'am, and somebody suggested comrade, and that was sort of a tongue in cheek sort of thing. Um, but yeah, wasn't it sort of? I mean, didn't isn't that
It depends on who
what
said
they
it.
did? What? Oh,
Who,
oh, I just mean the Russians when
oh.
they used comrade. Didn't they use it for both men and women? And wasn't that kind of the idea
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
to get rid of?
is there a feminine version of comrade?
I don't think so. I think But I think that's sort of how you do it, right? You don't. There's no archaic version of sir and madam that you could put together, but you could come up with another word like friend.
I just say you.
Hey, friend Ben. Uh, that sort of thing. There are non-gendered words that we could use to be an honorific if we wanted to.
I do have that habit of automatically saying yes sir or yes ma'am, like when in terms of like working in a place and someone calls out for me, my response would be yes
Mhm.
sir or whatever.
Oh,
But I'm recently
the
having to
bear,
just say yes.
the bear, Ben, chef.
Not everybody's a
Everyone is
chef,
chef.
chef.
You know what chef means in French, Ben?
What does chef mean in French, Paul?
Boss.
Mm.
Now here's a question. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. No, boss. That's male or female?
I don't know. I've had a couple of friends who used an honorific boss in a way that I don't really, doesn't really have very good connotations.
Oh, so
What's
they
up,
weren't
boss?
yeah,
Maybe,
they
maybe
weren't
not the nicest people.
they were a little bit too they didn't know their station, Ben. They weren't lowering themselves in the way that you would have liked them to. This is again the part of the podcast where I, as a complete and utter jerk, misinterpret Ben's thing to make it sound like he's classist or any of that, which is furthest from the truth. Ben is very even-handed with all of his employees. Sorry, are you reading
All
a
of my.
thing?
I was reading Steven's comments. He's
Oh, what was? I
he
thought that's
says
what was happening.
he has the best game for us. The website is supposed to help you understand prompt engineering, but there's no link. I don't know if sometimes YouTube strips out links annoyingly. And then
Yeah.
I
Hey.
think
Oh, sorry.
in
I was just
reference
gonna say, Steven, send it to us an email.
in reference to the universal income and not having to sell your art to survive, solar generation and storage is taking off, and Tesla will have a 100 teraflops training computer within a year, so the androids are not far off. There's like service
Yeah.
androids, power, water, and almost free labor.
The thing that always happens when this goes around, at least in my experience, is that the people that make the thing rarely say, this could be for everybody, let's make it for everybody, and there is post scarcity for the people. And here's the thing, if people were to do it, I don't know, it there are things that I'm trying to get people to understand that they just won't for whatever reason. So here's an example, right? This is
Work on your messaging then.
well, this is the thing, right? It's hard for them to grasp it, to understand it. Let's say, Ben, that you have a computer program that you are supporting, like a Google or a Facebook or whatever, and you have a new version that comes out, and in this new version that comes out, you have added the ability for it to search in French, right? And this is version 2A. And you have developed version 2A, and now somebody is going to test version 2A to make sure it works. You, Ben, start to work on version 2B, and somebody finds an error in 2A. So the question is this: do you stop working on 2B and start working on 2A again to fix that? Or do they say, because 2B is the new version of 2A, hey, we found a problem in 2A, please fix it in 2B, which you're working on right now? Which makes more sense to you?
Well, I would probably not want to work here because if I'm the only one responsible for this, I'm overworked.
Okay, well
I
that's
don't
not
know.
the
2A is the one that is already public and out. So, fix the
well, 2A is the
problem.
one that's going to the public. 2A
Oh, it's
has not gone to the public yet. It's
oh, it's
getting
not been
tested.
released yet.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you have a choice. Stop working on 2B, which has new features, and fix 2A before 2A goes out, or put 2A out with this break and then put 2B out that fixes 2A.
Well, that's a pretty clever model if you want to sell more 2Bs.
It is, but here's the other thing, right? Um, if you go with number 1 where you're fixing 2A before 2B goes out, you are always fixing 2A because there are always problems.
Yeah.
And 2A never goes out. You end up working on 2A for 4 months, and then by that time people don't want 2A anymore. But if somebody is in a place right now where they're working the 2A, fix 2A before you start work on 2B, if they're in that model, you cannot convince them that putting out something with something broken, if you're going to fix it 2 weeks later, works and is something that you should do. It's maddening trying to get them to, believe that.
I can't
Is
help but feel
something
this
that
is
you
a
can
veiled
do.
reference to work.
I don't talk about work. I used to work at a software company, and that was one of the things is that they were switching from a 2A mindset to a 2B mindset, and for a while it took people a little time to have a problem with it because they were like, well, you're sending it out with bugs in it. Yes, but the bugs are being fixed. Well, what if there are more bugs? Then we fix those bugs, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it is what your Googles and your Facebooks do. That is the model. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, hard to let people know. Does Steven have
Break things
anything
fast? Something else? I think he noped out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and that's right. Break fast.
Yeah.
Ooh, breakfast.
Unless you're a homemade submersible.
Yes. Oh, geez. Hey, that happened after, during our pause, right?
Yeah.
That hadn't happened yet.
That hadn't
Okay,
happened
so
yet.
it is June 29th, 2023. Ben and I have not met since the submarine carrying the rich people imploded while they were going down to look for the Titanic, or look at the Titanic. And probably a whole bunch of more poorer people have died in other ways that haven't been on the news as much.
There was a whole story that came out. I think it was that week. Like, so the sub went missing on a Sunday, and I think it was like on a Monday or Tuesday, or even on Sunday. Like a boat carrying 300 migrants sank somewhere, and like everybody passed. Everybody died, and it barely made the news cycle. And a lot of people were like, because nobody cares about poor people, we only care about rich people.
Yeah.
But then you have other people saying, I only care about dead rich people. So it's a no-win situation.
Yeah, who's the news for? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
But lucky for us, Ben, we are not in a submarine right now. We are, in fact, in the comfort of indoor spaces where we can look up this week in GudeLaurance history.
Nice segue.
Yeah.
To fill the final few remaining minutes.
Oh,
of
and I know
show.
what we did. I know what we did last episode.
Oh, hang on. All right, Paul, I'm going to ask you this question I ask you every time. Yep. What did we talk about last time?
Last time, Ben, we talked about the fact that we did 60 seconds max, and it was the first 60 seconds max we actually did, and we sang
oh, that's right.
a song from CB4 that was on a mixtape that Jennifer Pratt gave me. That's how
Yeah.
we were introduced to the song, and it was "Sweat from My Balls." Ben.
Sweat for my balls.
Yep.
So that was on November 4th, 2005. Our next performance was on December 2nd, 2005.
Wow. Now let's think about that. December 2nd, 2005. That is, hold on, I'll do the math. 18 years ago. Is that right?
Yeah, like 17 and a half years.
Wow.
That's
Imagine.
that is bonkers.
Prior to Betty being born, and Betty is almost a ding dang senior in high school now.
A ding dang senior.
Yeah.
This one, it was called, and I'm gonna swear, Paul and Ben fucking rock.
Hey.
Do you remember this one?
No, I do not. Did we write it or did someone else do it?
There was no, we wrote it. We came up with it.
Okay.
There's actually video of this. I took video like with my tiny like Canon PowerShot camera. I think Chris Haddad even was the one I had hold the camera in the audience. We had this giant piece of paper that said Paul and Ben F and rock. The lights went out. Strobe light came on. We burst through the paper. And then we had like a gladiator style war with empty water jugs.
Oh wow!
While,
Okay.
Like candy was getting thrown. Oh, actually no. That's what happened. So we start fighting with these water jugs, and then you were like,
And
Ben,
then like
stop.
the large clear water jugs.
Yeah, the large clear water jug, and we had like glow sticks inside them, so in the dark you could still see them.
Wow.
And then you're like, Ben, stop. Do you know what time it is? And I'm like, no, what is it, Paul? And you say, candy for the audience. So we just, there's like Rick Miller's holding this strobe light, and we're just chucking candy into the audience.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that, I gotta say, Ben, that might be the quintessential GudeLaurance thing. Can you get that video to me? Is there a way that I can see it?
Yeah, I can send it to you tonight. It's on a hard drive I have at home.
Oh yeah, that would be wonderful. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
So much stuff. I mean, and I was partially responsible for this. For a little while, you know this, I became enamored with the Buddhist sand painting kind of thing of if you're not here seeing GudeLaurance, then you're not going to see the video of it because it's going to be better in people's memory than it is on video.
Yeah.
Which I somewhat regret now because it would be nice to see all that stuff.
18 years later, you want to remember some of the things you did.
Yeah, but I still kind of agree with my thought there that the legend of what we did was going to be better than the reality sometimes.
Yeah.
And
oh,
so,
absolutely. And I'm sure sitting in the audience during this bit it would have a much larger impact than watching the tiny, like 340 by 220 pixel video that this camera took.
True. And yet, very cool. Very cool. Also,
Yeah.
interestingly enough, that in 2005, we think that technology was further along than it was. Netflix still on mail order in 2005.
Yeah, I saw a whole documentary. They actually started up in like 1999. I had no idea they were that old.
Yeah. That was one of the. I was an early adopter of Netflix, so.
Oh yeah,
kind of cool. Hey, speaking of early adopters, it's time to end the show.
Nice segue.
Yeah. Hey, I'm built for it.
Yeah.
All right. So Ben, how's it happening?
How's it happening, Paul? And I bid you a very pleasant keep it wrong.
Keep it wrong, my friend, and I will talk to you next week on the GudeLaurance podcast.
On the GudeLaurance podcast.